Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, and today we're taking a look at two legendary icons of JDM tuning, but packing some serious punch. These are MiniGT's latest releases and new molds from them as well. It is the Veilside R32 Nissan Skyline GT-R and the Veilside Mk4 Toyota Supra, models number 971 and 978. So they're not just any tuner cars, they're really rooted in the golden era of Japanese performance culture, where brands like Veilside really push the boundaries of style, speed and individuality. So now we'll take a closer look at both of these scale models, explore the real-life inspiration behind their wild designs, and dig into what made these kits so influential in the world of custom JDM. So let's just jump straight into it. And I have both cars here because I wanted to show you how similar they are. So both of them are combat gray, and even the boxes look pretty much identical. And of course, it's number 971 for the Skyline and 978 for the Supra. And I wanted to speak about Veilside a little bit. So it was founded in 1990 by Hironao Yokomaku in the Ibaraki prefecture in Japan. And initially, they were just focusing on the performance and tuning for drag racing, but the brand quickly became a name for itself with like these really cool bold aero designs and these very high-end builds. And Veilside actually became one of the most recognizable names during this golden age of Japanese tuning culture. So the name itself, Veilside, actually reflects its philosophy. It's kind of part mystery and part performance. Veil for the unseen potential of the car, and then side for Yokomaku's roots in drag racing. And of course, while Veilside was already well known in Japan and also among tuning circles worldwide, it was really the Fast and Furious, and more specifically Tokyo Drift in 2006, that brought the brand a lot of mainstream attention. So I've got a car over here, and this of course you can already recognize is Hans RX-7. So this is of course a Veilside Fortune RX-7, and it became one of the most recognizable cars in the entirety of the franchise, really cementing the brand's place in car culture history. And it's got a really iconic look. And let me know if you'd like to see this in a future video, because I think it's such a beautiful looking car. It's really one of my favorite in my collection. So I might actually review this one. Let me know down below, and yeah, let's get back to it. And first up, we've got the Skyline, number 971. Of course, we've already seen the box, and it says Nissan Skyline GT-R R32 Veilside Combat C-I. So this is the combat kit, and this is the C1 variant. And of course, it is combat gray. And what's interesting is this is the first time MiniGT's done this body kit, and it's a new mold. So I've never opened this model before. You can see it's completely sealed. So I'm very excited to see what it's all about. So let's check it out. And here we go. I've just cut this little bit open on the edges. Let's check it out. Ooh, nice. Wow, that is very cool. Man, that looks awesome. It looks so like old school, very like typical 90s style JDM look. Wow, that is so nice. Man, that is very cool. I like the look of this car actually. It's so old school and that really typical style, traditional 90s JDM style. So we've got this stripe with a Veilside running on the side, and then continuing on the bonnet as well. And just look at the shape of this body kit and this typical like R32 headlights as well. It's got a very cool presence, and of course these chrome rims as well. So chrome rims are not quite as popular now, but definitely in Japan and back in the day in the 90s, chrome was quite a big hit for these kind of tuner cars. So that is very cool. And to be honest, the color is actually a bit darker in real life than I was expecting to see. I thought it would have a little bit more of a silver sort of color. But this car is coming out from MiniGT in red as well, and probably some other colors too in the future. So let's actually check the car out properly. So Veilside's take on the R32 GT-R came in the early to mid 1990s, right as the Godzilla was dominating the Group A racing around the world. And of course, their version featured a much sharper sort of front bumper, you can see over here, and also these sculpted looking side skirts, and also a very unique looking rear, all designed to push both the aesthetics as well as the aerodynamics of the car. And you can see it's got a different type of wing too. But underneath, many Veilside R32s still retain the legendary RB26 DETT, the twin turbo of course, but with upgraded turbos, upgraded exhaust, and of course the suspension as well, just to match the exterior and also to give the car better handling. So it was really a street car, but it's swapped out with like some motorsport kind of DNA, with a lot of fiberglass added extras, like all this crazy looking body kit. And of course it made a huge impact in Japan in those times. So looking at the model itself, the paint quality is extremely nice. You can see it's got this really strange sort of color. It's almost got like a patina kind of effect in this gray. So this is referred to as combat gray, and you can see it's got this like weird kind of sparkle into it, but it doesn't really look to actually sparkle. It's more just like the color itself is made up of these little different pieces of pigment. It's very interesting, to be honest. And of course the clear coat is really beautiful, very high gloss, and it really helps to accentuate the curves of the car, as well as all the surfacing, especially around these kind of rear fenders and all the different little changes in the surfacing details. So it's got a very beautiful finish actually. So let's actually check out the car in more detail. So starting off with the roof, we've got a very nice and smooth finish, very typical and quite simplistic. And you can see the grain of this paint a little bit closer now. So you can see the sort of effect it has. It almost looks like concrete on the floor, or like asphalt or something like that, but like a gray sort of version. It's very strange and pretty cool actually. Then underneath there it says Veilside off to the side, so that's kind of a nice touch. Usually the banners would be centered in the windscreen, but this actually has it on the side. Windscreen wipers, we've got the vent blowers in the front windscreen as well, and then we come to the bonnet. So it's pretty much the same as the standard GT-R, and you can see it's got a lot of three-dimensionality. If I kind of move it in the light, very beautiful looking light lines. And then of course we've got this very classical looking banner over here, separated into three colors. It's like a white, sort of beige, and there's gray as well, and it just says Veilside Combat. Very simplistic, but very punchy and effective. So heading to the front, we've got this like horizontal slats on the grille. Doesn't have a GT-R logo or anything like that. Of course, this is all part of the Veilside kit. And just underneath that, we've got this huge intake where you can see this massive intercooler just to cool off the engine. And you can see that the body kit's got quite an interesting looking shape. It's almost got like organic lines to the car, and that's kind of interesting and sort of contradicting to this like boxy sort of square shape of the 90s that these cars would have had. So this was an interesting sort of take on the look of this body kit. So if you look at these side intakes, we have this very organic sort of shape running all the way from underneath the lights down to the front, and we've got two separate little intakes, a big one and a small one. And then even here underneath that, we've got this front lip, and that actually turns into a kind of like winglet on the side as well. And that's a very unique looking thing, because usually that would be finished off in black in more sort of modern cars just to separate the element, but here it's finished off in a body color, so it gives it a very organic looking presence, especially from this front 3/4 view. It's a very interesting and unique look to the car. And of course we've got these very nice headlights as well, really great modeling, so you could see where the different type of lights would be. And then of course we've got the side indicators as well. And then we come to this typical looking R32 style fender. And of course we've got beautiful split lines on the doors, very deep and very nicely detailed, so no detail has been lost on the shut lines with the paint or anything like that. And even the door handle is extremely nicely modeled. And of course underneath that we've got this typical Veilside side skirt. So once again, it's got quite an organic sort of look to it. So you can see here we've got this little bit of a bulge in the front, And this surface actually seems to twist a little bit, which is kind of uncommon. And here as well, you can see where it ends, and it's a very unique looking body kit for sure. Usually it would be more sort of boxy kind of body kits that are put onto these kind of cars. So Veilside was quite unique in this organic sort of character that they gave to the cars. And of course, let's head to the wheels because we can't skip those. So we've got these beautiful looking 5 spokes, and you can see that in real life they would actually be split rims. So we've got the bolts running all the way around the edges, and we've just got this beautiful chrome finish, nice tires as well, and the wheels do spin, and you can kind of imagine how these wheels would look spinning around at high speed. The rears are the same, so let me try to give them a bit of a spin. There you go. It looks pretty cool, I think. No branding or anything on the center, but they do look very, very unique and very cool. And it's got a little bit of a dish as well. No brakes or calipers, unfortunately, which is typical of MiniGT, so we're used to that, but beautiful molding on the wheels. Then we come to the side door. This sort of character line is very nicely visible, and it has a lot of three-dimensionality, and that just continues all the way into the rear fender in this typical GT-R blister style rear fender, and you can see what beautiful highlights we've got in that surface as well. Then we've got this typical R32 DLO, very geometric and very like squared off sort of edges, and very thin B-pillar as well. If you have a look at how thin that B-pillar is, it's like almost non-existent, and that's pretty crazy looking. We can see into the car really clearly with this actually. And then of course the little Veilside logo, and of course we've got these upgraded mirrors as well, so you can see how snug they are and how close they are to the body. So there's no reflection on there at all, but you can see it's got a completely different type of molding. So this would be the Veilside one, and you can see there's no gap between the mirror and the car itself. It's not sticking off or anything. It's kind of tucked just right up against the car, just to help with that aerodynamic efficiency, just to give the car a bit more speed as well. And it looks pretty cool to say. It's like very sleek, and of course other sides like that as well. Then we've got this really nice looking typical R32 C-pillar. Then we've got the rear wheels as well, which is the same as the front. No, they're not staggered or anything like that. And then we come to the rear over here. So in the back of the car, you can see we've got the typical 4 round lights, and they are modeled as separate elements, and they look really beautiful actually. It's got quite a lot of depth. If you look at it like that, you can see how deep these lights kind of look. It's pretty cool, to be honest. And of course, once again, really nice looking shut lines on the boot. And here we've got a little Veilside sticker as well, so it says Veilside R. And then of course we've got this Veilside number plate, just finished off in black with white writing, very sleek looking. And next to that we've got these 2 little square sort of shapes. So that was actually the reverse lights on the car. So unfortunately we don't have any separate elements there, and they don't actually look like reverse lights, and they're not painted either. So it's pretty much just part of the die-cast molding. And of course, as you can see, we've got this really interesting looking Veilside rear bumper. So it's got this like sort of diffuser kind of shape to it. And you can even see that we've got an extra cutout here. So that would be if you wanted to do a double exhaust sort of setup, then already that shape is kind of cut out. And just above that little cutout shape, you can even see that there is a little bit of a spot there, and above the exhaust as well. And that was actually for the tow hook that was installed on the car as well. And then we've got this large kind of back box for the exhaust, and then just finished off in silver with a kind of dark interior. So that's very much similar to the original car as well. And we can just check underneath as well that the exhaust does continue almost all the way to the front. And now we come to this rear wing as well, and you can see it's another unique piece on this Veilside. And of course this car has a very low slung looking wing, so you can see how close it is actually. It's almost flush on the body, and even these sort of like trailing arms or kind of support sections here are pushed forward quite a lot just to help channel the air, and also gives it quite an organic sort of feel. And the wing itself has quite a lot of three-dimensionality and has this like kick up at the end as well, just to help with the downforce of the car. And what's also quite unique and interesting is that it actually folds over the edges of the car itself. So it goes all the way past the boot line and folds over quite a lot, but you can see that it is a 3D like floating element over there, but it definitely gives the car a very unique looking character. And of course this side overall is pretty much the same, except we've got the fuel filler cap over there as well. And just after the wing, we can see that we've got the rear glass over here, and there's no defrost or anything like that on the rear window, but we do have a windscreen wiper, and we've got a very nice view into the interior of the car as well. So we've got this rear speakers, we've got some rear seats, pretty simplistic looking. And heading into the side glass, you can see we've got the steering wheel over here, and even has a little indicator stalk. And then we've got the instrument cluster. There's no dials or anything like that on it that I can see, but it is a lot of three-dimensionality. And even in the center, you can see it's got 3 like gauges in there. And we've got the gear shift and quite a nice looking center console. And of course, these really beautiful bucket seats that are in this GT-R. And it's got a lot of three-dimensionality on the interior. We've even got the door handles on the inside. And it's quite cool to have such thin B-pillars that you can almost look at the interior in a sort of like panoramic view, and that's a very interesting thing. I like that. And here you can now see the car under some more dynamic lighting, and you can really see the three-dimensionality of all the surfaces and the shapes of this car. And this body kit looks extremely wild on this car. So as I mentioned before, this is the Veilside Combat C-I kit. So this one was developed in the early to mid 90s, and it was one of the earliest full body conversions that Veilside actually offered. And of course it was designed to enhance the downforce while delivering that signature 90s tuner aggression. So of course we've got this like wider, flatter profile that the R32 looks more grounded, and it gives it a much more muscular stance. And of course the full body kit includes this reshaped front bumper that you see here with these crazy deep ducts, this beautifully sculpted side skirts, and of course that rear bumper as well that just really balances the aerodynamics and gives it a lot of presence as well. And of course the kit's quite a bit wider, and this flatter profile really gives the R32 a more grounded and muscular sort of stance without going too over the top. And while Veilside offered the performance upgrades for the RB26, many owners combined this C-I kit along with the upgraded suspension, the wheels, and the custom exhaust just to complete the full transformation of their car. And I think MiniGT has really nailed the look and feel and even the stance of this car. I think they've done an excellent job. So now let's check out what the Supra has in store for us. And here we have the Supra Mk4. So once again, this one is number 978. The box is pretty much identical to the Nissan, and this one says Toyota Supra Veilside Combat V2 Combat Grey. So same sort of color, of course. And in real life, the Veilside Mk4 Supra came out a few years after the Skyline did, during the mid to late 1990s rather. And by that time, this JZA80 Supra was already like a tuning icon. Of course, thanks to its insane 2JZ engine. And Veilside ended up elevating it even further with this crazy looking body kit. So this one is the combat kit, and then later came the more dramatic looking fortune kit like the RX-7 that I showed earlier. So I haven't opened this yet, so you can see it's completely sealed off, so let me get to it. So I've just cut this open here, and let's give this a go. I mean, the color's gonna be the same, so we already know that. So let's check it out. Wow, that is very cool. Jeez. Wow, that looks awesome. Wow, that kit is like super wild, my word. Jeez, look at that. It looks to have the same wheels, but this wing is so huge as well. And once again, we've got a very organic look to the car, so similar kind of styling that Skyline had. It's very typical Veilside. Geez, like this thing looks pretty insane. Wow, in real life, to be honest, it looks even cooler, like holding it in my hand. On video, it's difficult to see, but it's got so much three-dimensionality in the surface. It's very, very interesting. I don't have any Veilside cars like this. So that's very awesome, and you can already see that these body kits completely transform the Supra silhouette even. We've got these sort of like flared arches here, and of course we've got these really deep bumpers like in the front, and the rear's got a little bit of a different look as well, but it's got this really sleek looking side. It's almost like an organic kind of finish once again, and it really gives it this like insane like supercar presence, I would say, in the JDM world, especially for back in those days. And performance wise though, Veilside offered a full tuning service for this car, all the way from the internals of the engine to the exhaust system. So the cars were tailored each, and they were built to the customer's own vision. So this one has the same color scheme as the R32 though, and once again you can see those typical 90s vibes like lines, and the same color scheme that we had as well, so this white, beige and gray. So let's check out all the details. So starting off with the roof, once again it's pretty much just simplistic, no sunroof or anything like that, and we've got this really interesting color once again, and we've got a beautiful looking finish on the paint, of course super slick, just as the R32 was. And I wanted to actually have a look at the color and see if they are exactly identical. To be honest, to me the Supra seems to be a little bit lighter, although they're both combat gray. It could just be the fact that the surfaces reflect a little bit differently, but it does look to be a slightly bit, maybe a one tint lighter. I don't know, what do you guys think? Let me know. So of course, once again, same kind of thing with the Veilside off to the side, and of course we've got some really beautiful modeling on the interior as well. We've got this front like scuttle area by the hood, and we've got the windscreen wipers as well, and we've got this really cool looking bonnet. So we've got quite a big air outlet over here, and it's got quite a lot of three-dimensionality over here. You can see the way the light lines hit off it, and you can see how deep that groove goes in there. So there looks to be like almost a cutout, but at the same time not sort of exactly a deep sort of cut into the bonnet, which is kind of an interesting sort of look. But here we've also got these three kind of slats which look very, very cool. It almost looks like some kind of cooling vents on like old school appliances or something like that. It's very 90s looking. It's very JDM as well. I really like the look of that. And then of course the same sort of color scheme over here as we had on the R32. And then we head to this front area. So we've got really well sculpted headlights and a lot of three-dimensionality. You can see where the spots are in there, and the high beams as well. And it looks really, really well modeled, to be honest. And then of course we come to this colossal front bumper, very typical of Veilside. So it's kind of interesting because the Supra was a sort of soft kind of shape on the front, and you can see that they've ended up going for quite a hard sort of straight almost surface in the front here, and then it kind of tucks in just near the lights, and it's got a really, really interesting shape. You can see how much it sticks out. It's almost extruded quite far from the front of the car. It almost looks like the Veilside 350Z a little bit. From this angle it reminds me of that car. But of course, heading back to the center itself, you can see we've got this huge cutout and this massive intercooler in the center. And we've also got these little recesses on the side that have the indicators in them. And then just underneath there, another intake. And once again, we've got an extremely unique looking three-dimensional front lip. So we've got the center section that hits quite high and just helps to channel air right into that intercooler there. And then it kind of dips down and shoots all the way up to the side. and that once again makes this kind of winglet sort of shape and just helps to channel air to the wheels as well as just around the car. And of course it's finished off in this body color once again, and as you can see, the three-dimensionality and the look of this body kit is extremely unique looking, and you can kind of see all the different angles and geometry that these areas have. It's very, very interesting. But here you can see it's got quite a sharp sort of edge to this bumper as well, so that kind of takes away from the sleek smoothness of the typical Supra. Very, very strange looking, but very, very cool, to be honest. And then beautiful three-dimensionality on this front haunch area and the front fenders. And then we've got these little indicators just painted, not a separate element or anything. Heading further on, once again, we've got these sort of tucked mirrors just up against this A-pillar, and once again, just to help with channeling the air and giving the mirrors a lower profile just for some more high speed, of course, and channeling the air around it as well. And then the shut lines are very beautiful and clear. Once again, we've got a really nice looking door handle over here, lots of three-dimensionality, Veilside Supra on the side, and then we've got this really nice looking side skirt over here. Quite a lot of three-dimensionality once again. There's no intake or anything there, but it does have a lot of 3D shape, and you can see how much this organic looking side skirt actually protrudes from the side of the car. So it's actually further than the wheels themselves and pretty much the widest point on the entire car. I don't know if that's quite right. To me it looks a little bit bizarre. Of course the kits did look a little bit strange in real life, but I don't think it should go as far as that, so that's a bit strange. But anyways, carrying on, so we've got this typical looking Supra DLO, and we even look to have a roll cage in there, but we'll look in the interior soon enough. So, and then we've got this nice surface just going all around the DLO and heading down into the C-pillar, and you can actually see the C-pillar's got like sort of a cut, like a recess in the rear. I don't really think the real car had that, not as far as I'm aware, so that's kind of an interesting little thing. And then of course we come to this rear fender. Once again, lots of three-dimensionality and a beautiful highlight is carried through. You can see how soft the surfacing of the Supra is, and it looks really well modeled. If you look at this edge over here, it's very true to the real car, and that's really beautiful. And of course, heading to the wheels, these ones actually spin quite a lot better than they did on the Skyline, so you can see what they look like moving. And once again, it's the same kind of wheel, just finished off in this almost chrome color. This one's not quite as chrome though, it's more like a silver. And I want to see if it's the same wheels on the R32. So you can see that the R32 is definitely chrome, and this is more of a silver sort of finish. But in terms of three-dimensionality, they look to share the same mold, although the tires are a little bit different on the Supra. And I wonder if they've got a little bit more dish or not, but they seem to be almost identical, I think. Maybe the Skyline's got a tiny bit more dish, but it's kind of hard to tell, to be honest. But they look almost identical, so that's very cool. And the rear ones rotate really nicely as well. Of course, no brakes, unfortunately. So anyways, jumping to the rear, we've got this typical Supra back over here. Nice rear 3/4 angle, and then we come to the tail light. So beautiful three-dimensionality, really vivid colors on the lights as well. It looks really sinister. I really like the look of that. And then of course you can even see that we've got these two little latches on the rear as well. As far as I know, the pictures I've seen of the Veilside, it doesn't have that, although it looks like some cars would have, because as I said, they were personally tailored for each person, so maybe this was removed with some bolts or something like that, so that's possible. And of course the little Supra Toyota logo and the little Supra logo as well. We've got this blank number plate just finished off in black, and quite a lot of three-dimensionality in this rear as well. But the back bumper seems to just be pretty much like the standard Supra. And of course we've got a really nice looking tailpipe, and this one's more of that typical JDM round like can style pipe, and the inside is just finished off in silver, so it should be black, but that's just silver over there. And then underneath we can see where the exhaust actually runs, and then we've also got the diff in the center as well. So nice little modeling. and a beautiful looking car. And then of course here we've got the fuel filler, and now we finally come to this crazy massive wing, and you can see it's really wide. It protrudes quite a lot further than the rear mask of the car, and it's pretty insane looking, to say the least. You can see how massive this wing is. Of course, Supras tend to have pretty big wings. Even the original wing was quite high up on the car, and you get a similar wing to this that's really popular on Supras. But this Veilside one once again has such an organic sort of feel to it, and you can even see here that it kind of follows the curve of the rear window and has a really ton of three-dimensionality. But the blade of the wing itself is just completely straight, and that's kind of a strange sort of thing, especially on such a curvy car. So Veilside was really playing with a lot of contradictions in both of these cars. So we've got quite a lot of square elements like this front, and then of course this wing on such a curvy car, and then we've got some curvy elements on the like straighter edged Skyline. So very interesting sort of design touches. And here it says Combat as well on the side. I managed to skip that earlier. So, and of course Veilside Supra as well. And jumping into the interior, you can see on this rear window we don't have any defrost or anything like that, but we've got this parcel shelf on the back, and it seems to have even a rear strut brace just over here, which is a pretty cool little thing to see. And then of course we've got the rear seats, and you can see the roll cage just in there, finished in black once again. And on the interior here we've got a really well modeled steering wheel as well, and then we've got these really deep looking bucket seats, kind of similar to the one that the R32 had inside. And of course you can see it's got a really beautiful molding on the inside, and once again we've got this sort of ripple gauge cluster as well on the dash, and also some kind of a switch just next to it. So it's got a really beautifully modeled interior once again, and you can see this roll cage just a little bit closer over here, and how much space this car actually has inside, in a typical Supra style wraparound dashboard as well that you can see just in there. So beautiful modeling on the car. I really like this, and to be honest, the Fortune kit that was available for this car after the Combat looks absolutely epic. So I really hope that MiniGT will have that in store for us sometime in the future. That would be really amazing to see. And now we finally come to the Supra, and you can see how beautifully sculpted these soft surfaces on the car are, and how sort of contradictory this Veilside body kit is on this car. It looks very aggressive and very unique and interesting. Of course, as mentioned before, this was the V2 Combat kit, which arrived in the late 90s, and it was a more refined track-inspired evolution of the earlier Combat kits. Of course, this one's got that deeply vented front bumper, the contoured side skirts once again, as well as the flared sort of arches, and it was really all designed just to improve the aerodynamic balance at high speed. Compared to the flashier Fortune kit that came later, this V2 maintains the Supra's original shape while still amplifying its aggression. So this body kit was really a favorite among tuners who wanted the performance credibility, but still wanted a wide body without sacrificing too much of the Supra's iconic form. And of course, once again, MiniGT has completely nailed the look and feel of this car. And now we come to the end and finally see both cars right next to each other. So on one side we have this really beautiful R32 GT-R with the Veilside Combat C-I kit. It's super clean, aggressive, and it was also built during the early rise of street and circuit tuning in Japan. And then on the other hand, we've got the Mk4 Supra with this crazy looking V2 kit, super refined, purposeful, and sculpted to really match the 2JZ's legendary performance. And both kits represent Veilside's pre-Fast and Furious legacy, where aero wasn't just for show, but it was really a key part of the performance culture. And overall, I think MiniGT once again delivered with really sharp details and accurate proportions, as well as just great model accuracy and a really beautiful tribute to Japan's tuning heyday. And of course, if you want to pick one of these models up, They are pretty much widely available at the moment, and the prices are roughly between 10 and 20 pounds, so roughly maybe 15, 18, 13, depends where you kind of get them from. And of course, these cars are coming in other colors as well. So if you don't like these colors, you can always pick one up in a different one. But I think these make a really nice pairing. And of course, if you're into Veilside or 164 collecting, or just love stories behind the builds, these two cars are definitely worth a closer look. And also let me know if you would like to see a full breakdown of Han's Veilside Fortune RX-7. This one is made by Time Micro, and I must say it's an absolutely beautiful car. It's definitely one of my favorites among in my collection. So let me know if you would like a full breakdown of that. And also don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And I've got a lot more diecast legends and tuning icons coming soon, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take it easy. Ciao.